Hey, Liege of Games, Chris, baby, let's do this. So I didn't really do one for October. So let's do one for October and September in terms of what did I back, what did I get, what did I play, what did I think of things, what didn't I back, a little bit of everything of those thoughts. What did I finally end up doing? Now, part of that, I'll put disclaimers. The off camera, you can't see. I got some bigger lights. I got some better lights for better viewing. I think I'm going to move the bed behind me at some point and get like a Calyx in there so I can put like stuffed animals for you guys so that I can really be appealing to the board game scene even more, right? Because that's what board gamers want to see in the background. But then I also got another tripod stand. So a lot of my funds actually recently went for that so I can do some top-down shots as well instead of me like angling my camera weirdly on like a board game of Millennium Blades Collusion that it then goes over. Anyway, it's going to be better from that side of things. So some of my funds went there these past 2 months instead of backing some games. So, and again, there's a lot of good games out there. A lot of really good games. But I'm looking for excellent. I'm looking for what am I going to want to play over other things. And that was really the main criteria, which ended up canceling quite a few pledges because I said, in the end, do I think I'm going to actually play this? Not do I like it, not can I resell it. I am, as always, not buying to resell. I am not buying because I will not lose money. That's not where I am in my hobby. A lot of people look at it nowadays, and this is my side rant, side soapbox at the beginning of this video, that there is value. You have to be concerned about the value. You have to be concerned about not losing money. No, you need to be concerned more about playing, right? Concern more about stuff that you're actually going to play rather than whether or not I'm going to lose money on this. If your main focus is whether or not you're going to lose money on it, if you need to resell it, then you're not buying to play it in the first place then. You're either buying it to make money or you're buying it because you can. It's kind of the truth of it. So, or you're on my side of things and you're trying to, put out videos that, you wouldn't or normally be interested in from that side of things. I don't know. But that's how I feel personally. And I'll put that out there and you can tell me how wrong I am in the comment section like usual. So what did I actually back? What didn't I back? And kind of where things are at right now. So let's talk about that. And then afterwards, I'll talk about the games that I am currently backing or currently looking into. Also, Onimaru Watch Day 1018 since it finished funding. And if you're keeping track at home, here's the campaign. Oh, look. Surprise, surprise. No update since August 17. We are now almost at 3 months without any update after supposedly sending something to the factory and waiting for samples because the PDFs wouldn't open last time. Will we see something before the end of the year? Will there ever be an update again? Tune in to the next episode to find out the Onimaru saga. You got to do it. You got to keep these people accountable. Got to put them on blast sometimes. Okay, now let's get to the real stuff. What did I back? Not a whole lot. Because like I said at the beginning, stuff went elsewhere. I hyped this one. I'm interested in this one. I went with this one. Paint the Roses, the deluxe edition. You can make the argument that, again, you could make the argument you could probably get it cheaper at retail. I went for the deluxe edition. It gets you the expansion deluxe. It gets you the extra module. I think it's going to be worth it. It's a hard-ish co-op game of the likes we haven't seen. I've been watching this one for probably the last 2 years prior to it even launching. So this was probably one of the few that I backed and just never had to think about again from that side of things. And again, it's up my ilk. 2 to 5 players, 60 minutes, cooperative. All of those things scream easy to get to the table, easy to play. And this is one of the few things that I will deluxify because I'm seriously that interested in it. Not because I'm concerned about getting the best value. Whatever that is. And the extra expansions mean that you're probably going to, you could resell it from a value standpoint because it's probably going to be more separate, even if they did the deluxe at retail separately. So again, I love it. I love the idea of it, and it's gonna be hopefully a game that lives up to my expectations, especially with the expansion included. Honestly, I backed it and I just forgot about it because I knew it was one that I was not going to not back. So that was probably the biggest cincher for me. No stretch goals, you know, it was what it was. So there was no FOMO. There was no concern from that side of things. There you go with that. And then, again, the only one I did otherwise was keep the heroes out. I had the 72-hour early bird. Again, a co-op with scalable modularity and scenario-based. I just couldn't resist it. And with all of the exclusive expansion and all of the little extras that were included with the different monsters that were unlocked and the meeples, again, not as a huge price point with the meeples versus miniatures, because, again, I don't think you can underrate how cool these meeples are, and it gives table presence without having a bunch of plastic junk and without having a box that's 3 times the size it needs to be. Yeah, you can say what you want to say about the early bird, but you can also say that they did 72 hours. So if you're a Kickstarter junkie and you're watching the hotness, you're watching the popularity, or if you're searching by new, these things, or if you're just watching my videos, I do a weekly video roundup of almost every Kickstarter game that comes out. So if you're not subscribed to me now and you're interested in, and you missed out on something like this, I talk about these in depth. So that should be no surprise. Again, symbology. Is it going to be the deepest game? No. Is it going to be the most difficult game? No. Is it going to be the next step up for my kids to play with me? Yes. Is it going to be something my wife can enjoy in a scenario-based situational? Yes. And that's what I like. Scalable difficulty. Again, the meeples over miniatures, the modularity, the abilities, and then they had all these stretch goals, I believe, down here. And they did have some in terms of, I think, like unlocking the poltergeist, and again, the witches and some of this other stuff. But again, nothing that, you know, you're probably going to hugely miss out on if you didn't get it. But again, ooh, look at videos. That's me. Anyway, so that was it. I mean, again, just if you know me by now, this was one that shouldn't surprise you. Now, this might be a surprise to you guys. I did not back this because, and now, again, fully transparent, they, well after my review, said, hey, you know what? We would love for you to have a full copy of the game when it comes out. But otherwise, I canceled this on the last day. I was all set to back this with my own money. I was all set to put my money where my mouth was. And so you can, I mean, again, you can believe me or not, but I am all set. I am in love with this game still. I still believe in it. I still think it's probably one of the funnest games I have played this year. Period. And so I believe in it that much. Should I have ordered a copy as well? I mean, yeah, I mean, but I guess, again, I'll pose the question to you. If you were in my position and they offered you a game, would you then spend your money additionally? They offered it. I'm going to take them up on it, and I'm going to have a full review when it comes out too. Hopefully, they do a great job in putting it out when it comes to backers, and which is sort of another weird tangent. Like, I feel, you've seen, I've done a few of these videos. I've done probably a dozen or so of these videos. And again, transparency. From a majority of the campaigns that I have done, I have not gotten review copies or agreements to get copies on the back end of things because of my review. My biggest review out there, it's probably one of the most viewed videos on my channel. Haven't heard from them since. It's okay. It's okay. It's not, it's a great game, but, you know, I think there were some concerns with it, and I think that it has great potential. It was not a game I was ever offered a copy for. It's okay. To each their own. So be it. But, I mean, I believe that much in this game, so I'll just mention that. Now, the one game that is, again, a little bit different, sad. This is a solo tower defense game, Japanese. You can see I kept my pledge, and it did not fund successfully. Only 45 other people. It fell $500 short of its funding goal. They say they're going to be doing a campaign up in the future for like a print and play, so that you can just do it from that side of things, and it'll be like $5 or something. So I might end up doing that as well. But I was a little sad to see this Magic Sword Tactics not fund. Just seemed like a cool concept. Again, you know me at this point if you've watched any of my other videos in my roundup months. of Japanese games that I'm super interested in. Now we're going to get into the games that I canceled pledges on, apart from those two were sort of exceptions. Black Rose Wars Rebirth. I think this is going to be better than the original. Flat out. Raised a ton of money, over $1.5 million. I just can't see myself playing it. I just can't see myself getting to the table. I can't see myself having a group enough meta from that side of things to justify a $150 pledge on this. Again, I think the value is going to be there. I think it's going to be fun, but I think it's going to be too long for what it is for my group. If this could be played in an hour and a half, that would be the best sum of things for me from that side of things, and then I would have gotten this game. But this game is not a 90-minute game. This is a 2 to 3 hour game when you know what you're doing, I think. And that is, let alone at maybe at the smaller player count, or you've played it a few times. It is just not that. And that's okay. It's just clearly then not quite for me, especially for that amount. If it was half that price with standees, again, I probably would have backed it. Which also leads me onto an interesting tangent, a tangent on the Reddit side of things. There was a post today about, am I the only one that is not backing campaigns when I see that they have a deluxe edition? And it's sort of similar. Am I the only one that doesn't back campaigns when I see all these miniatures? But I'm not one of those people, but I just, tangential. You know how my mind thinks I ramble. And all of you hate me in the comment section for rambling. Anyway, but I mean, again, it's a beautiful looking game. Ludus Magnus, though, I mean, they need to really tighten down, and a few of the other games even between now and then. This is one of those companies where they have a couple outstanding projects still already. And again, with so much expansion box stuff, how is it going to be? Is it going to be balanced enough? Is it going to be good enough? Is it going to be before 2023? I don't think so. So if you're okay with doing that, there it is. But that's one I just couldn't do. Next, EOS, Island of Angels. Again, this was asymmetric engine building, and I had to watch, unlike a lot of these other campaigns here, I've had to watch a lot of videos on this one just prior to the campaign finishing to figure out whether or not it was for me. And it was a little bit still too much worker placement. Again, price wasn't an issue. I think the value was there, but I just worried about how some of these were a little bit more nuanced, and a lot of the symbology and a lot of the, the portions of the character cards and the ship cards and the, upgrading this and upgrading that and the point system here and the point system there and marking it there and marking it there. It just seemed a little bit too much for me from that side of things. Otherwise, I mean, especially this map and the traversing it seemed kind of cool. It seemed like a really neat concept, and I'm a little sad I couldn't fit it in, me being the square peg, it being the round hole, and it just not working from that side of things. I mean, the exclusives were there too, so you definitely probably wanted to get in on the actual project. Am I going to give this a second look in the near future if it late pledges? Probably. Will I probably end up getting it though? Probably not. Again, interesting concept. Really like to see how it is at the end, and we'll see what the final reviews look like. Similarly, Verdant, I just couldn't. I looked at it as well as comparing it directly to Cascadia. And I said, am I going to choose this theme? Am I going to choose this different type of puzzling in terms of the grid layout over Cascadia? And the answer was no. And as good of deal as this $29 was, and as much as I like the idea of it, again, I could not see myself playing it over Cascadia. I would easily not lose value on this. I don't think there would be any concern about that with like the little mini expansion that they're throwing in and the $29, which is like $35 when shipping is included or something. So, I mean, the value is easily there. If anything you've seen with Cascadia and Calico, there's no issue about secondary, losing money on that side of things. But again, I don't do it for that. And so for that reason, I just couldn't justify it, because $30 is $30. I'm rolling in the big bucks now as a huge content creator, but I'm also frugal as all frugal. So I'm not going to buy stuff for the sake of doing it. I'm not going to buy stuff just to keep up with the Joneses on other channels. So if I end up getting a copy, great. I'd love it. And it'd be a great addition to my collection. But in the meantime, though, I'm also not going to be losing out if I don't have it, because I've got other stuff that fills a similar niche. Similarly, Dungeons of Dragmar. This was one I really wanted to back as well. This was a really small indie game, $48,000. Sort of like a different version Bargain Quest, but it just seemed to be missing something at the end. with the cards and watching the actual gameplay. Very little mitigation, high amount of risk and luck given into this. And with that side of things, I again just couldn't see myself enjoying it as much. And it seemed more multiplayer solitaire-esque as a card game like this, rather than, you know, as much interaction as I would have liked. And as cool as the concept is, and as cool as these cards are, I just could not justify it, again, as playing a card game with a fantasy theme over something else right now. And again, because it was a good deal. I had the early bird, maybe? Or was it the full game, 39? I'm trying to think of what I actually ended up having. Yeah, no, I had this early bird for $32. So it was a good deal from that side of things, because you were getting these like little mini expansions to go with it that were a little Kickstarter exclusive. But again, $32 is $32. All of a sudden, I'm $75, almost $80 positive because I didn't back two small campaigns that I'm not sure I would like. So there you go. Speaking of small campaigns, again, I just couldn't see Reap getting to the table. As much as I like the concept, it wasn't one, when I finally looked down at it, too much manipulation, too much going on, too much randomness, too much randomness. I mean, that's saying a lot for me. Without just enough payoff when I was looking at it. I think the concept is cool, but the moving the little ghost tokens underneath the Reapers was just a little bit too much from that side of things. And it was another $30, $35 that I could easily then save and use for other stuff. So we're already almost $120. We're already, you know, a significant bigger pledge just with not getting things just because they're cheap. And I guess that's the other life lesson with all these Kickstarter projects and crowdfunding projects. Don't buy because cheap, right? Don't buy because cheap. So there you go. Whew, I almost forgot about this one in my backed file. Too Many Bones Unbreakable. I did back it. I went in with the Unbreakable pledge, so I'm going to get the expansion that goes along with it. I traded, if you missed that, I traded for the base game at the beginning of the month or end of October from someone locally, and I haven't really played it yet, but I went in for the Unbreakable because I don't think it's ever going to be a better deal. So again, I mean, this was massive. This dwarves a lot of their other recent campaigns, especially from the Too Many Bones side of things. They blew through more stretch goals than I think they were ever expecting. $3.4 million. It's just going to be good, and the question is whether or not it's going to be right for me. I'm hoping so, because Unbreakable looked much more appealing to me than Undertow, and I will probably end up getting a few of the other little tidbits. I liked the idea of, I don't remember if it was Rage of Tyranny or one of the Waves of Daelor. I liked the idea of two of the other ones, I think, at least Polaris and maybe Static as well. So I'm probably going to get just a tiny bit in the Pledge Manager, but nothing too extravagant. Not a lot of this other big stuff, because I just don't need it. I just don't have any use for it. I'm never going to be a lifestyle game Too Many Boneser. So, and I'm okay with that from that side of things. These gear locks from older expansions and content just don't really have any appeal to me from that side of things, so I'm not really worried about that. And the premium stuff, you know me at this point, also not a huge deal. I have no idea what these promo packs are, so maybe I'll take a look at those, but that's expensive for $15 for a promo, although someone said they're super impossible to get on the secondary market. So, you know me, I'm going to do it from that side. I don't know, whatever. But I had to go after this one too. I just could not resist the temptation. But the big question also on the end of this one is, what is Chip Theory Games going to be coming up with next? We know they've got Skyrim, but what else is in store? So there you go. Now we'll do this a little bit differently, and I'm going to tell you the top 5 games I played over this 2-month span. So this is in order 5 through 1 of my favorite games that I played, the most fun, maybe not the most technical, maybe not the most highest rated on Board Game Geek, the ones I enjoyed the most. Number 5, if you've heard me talk about this one before, Dragon Scary Go Round. I love this Japanese co-op game. I introduced it to 2 guys from my little game group of like 4 people, 5 people total, maybe. And when I introduced it to one of them, and then the next time both of them were there, it was sort of like, oh yeah, here you go. It's this little kid's game. Be fooled by it. And then even the guy who had played it before was like, hey, you need to be careful of this one. So this is a very clever, very straightforward, but with a few difficulty twists as a co-op where you're just trying not to let the dragon get around before you can zap him 6 times. And if you do, you win. If you don't, you lose. There's ghosts trying to grab you, and he's trying to breathe fire on you, and you're playing 1 card every turn. Sounds simple? It is, but till you get playing it, you don't realize how difficult it can actually be. Number 4, Mythic Mischief. I enjoyed this game. I don't think all of the teams were as balanced as I would have liked. I don't think maybe that's again my own personality did not suit some of the teams, but I like it as an abstract that is way overdone. And I say that both as a positive and a negative. I mean, it definitely increases the price point. Could you have made this game like Tak and done that? Yeah, absolutely you could. This would be a great upgraded version of like Tak with the aesthetics and just the wood and the cloth board. I would love it, just that side of things for half the price. But, you know, it is what it is from IV Games, and it's a fun game. It's not for everybody. It's abstract-ish and abstract adjacent, if you will, but it's a good game. It's going to be a solid game. People are going to like it, but it's not going to be for everyone. But it is for me, and I'm okay with saying that. Boom. There you go. Period. Battle Line, number 3. Battle Line Medieval. This game from Rainer is it's just a classic. There's a reason why it's so well regarded. I haven't even gotten a chance to dive into the advanced mode, where you're claiming areas only at the beginning of your turn, or you're only claiming areas where you've got the advanced side up, the tactics side of things, where you're changing the side of these cards to the advanced side, and then you're getting, to see how each of the different areas is different, as opposed to them all being the same. But it's a great game. It's a little bit of pressure luck, it's a little bit of draw, it's a little bit of how tactical and lucky can you get at the same time. It's, like I said, it's a classic for a reason. I will not let this leave my collection. I mean, it's only 2 players, but it plays well. And once you know what you're doing, the nuance really starts to show up. So pressure luck poker with cards and 9 realms or areas of things. It's a great game. Love it. Wasn't kidding. Beast, still there. You heard me talk about it earlier. Second best game I've probably played this past 2 months. And I'm waiting eagerly for that copy. So I'm impressed by it. I'm gonna, really love this game. I love being the one in the 1v all, and I know that's probably the biggest contention of why people didn't like it or want to be interested in the first place. A lot of people just don't like that mechanic. I am not one of those people. I enjoy that mechanic a lot, and I like being the one. I love being the one, but it's usually because I'm most familiar with the game. So, typically in these games, the one is needing to be the more familiar, but I would happily be on the other side of things too. Especially with all the different beasts, and especially when you start drafting the cards at the beginning of the game instead of just pre-assigning them. So that's why it's number 2. Number 1, and my review should be out shortly for this, Vagrant Song. This is probably one of the most fun games I've played in a while as a different dungeon crawl. This is probably one of the most unique dungeon crawls done in a different way, with some randomness, some pressure luck, some mitigation, all rolled into one in a very, very sweet looking presentation. Scenarios are different enough that you never feel like you're repeating yourself. There is enough upgraded campaign system that you can do that but not be overwhelmed by it, and it just works. It just works, and it's fun. There's no dice. So, that is appealing from many different aspects, and that is why is number 1 of the best games that I've played over the last 2 months, or the most enjoyable games. So there you go. That's all I got. That's all I got. Last 2 months. Not as much as I was expecting, and we'll kind of see where it goes from there. I have no idea what December and November are going to look like. It really feels like the 2 of them are going to be sort of a letdown over the last 2 months of this year. I wouldn't be surprised, but I mean, there's a couple active things going on right now. I am backing Senjutsu. At the time of me filming this, Senjutsu has about 12 hours left, and I have to decide what I'm going to do, because I hate the fact that it has all these different modes and all these different things going on. At the same time, it's unique. It's up my alley as a 2-player skirmish battler, more with cards, even though there's got a 3D element of things. But at the same time, it also has some flags about being incomplete, spreading itself too thin, and the price point is way too much for what it is with the amount of miniatures and the amount of expansions that they have. So I have a mixed feeling on it right now. I want to like it. I really want to like it more than I do, which is scary, because usually in those cases, I don't end up backing, because I have enough other games. So that would be my biggest concern there. And I guess I need to figure out what I'm going to do if I'm going to late back Lords of Ragnarok. I did not back it, and I'm probably not going to, but that was the only other thing that was really on the radar recently. So there you go. That's it. That is October and September in a nutshell. Got a couple of interesting upcoming videos. If you like this, you want to talk about more stuff, what did you back? What was your best games that you played over the last 2 months? It doesn't have to be new. I mean, Battle Line Medieval, it's probably older than most of the games on other people's lists from that side of things anyway. It's a great game. Or maybe the original battle line. You know what I'm talking about. That's all I got. That's all I got. End of video. Click. Nope, just kidding. Stay classy. I'm done. Peace out, baby. Woo!